Mia nea glossa inni. Mia nea sue. A new language is a new life. As we move forward in history to 2600 BC, we move away from the language or writing as a tool purely for accounting or needs-based communications, and into poetry and philosophy as we wander into ancient Greece. I'm Emily, and welcome to A Better You, your one-stop shop for everything self-improvement, self-care and self-discovery. This is the fifth in the language history series. You can find the first videos in the comments bar below. Make sure that you subscribe below so that you can join us for the future language history series. We start our deep dive into Greek language in the same way we would start learning a language, with the alphabet. The Pleiades have left the sky and the moon has vanished. It's midnight. The time for meeting is over. And me, I am lying, lonely. Now a quick look at the same poem in the Latin alphabet. As you can see, the Greek alphabet, which was modelled on Semitic scripts, is very similar to the Latin alphabet, which is the one that many European languages use today. It's a lot easier to see these similarities, however, in the uppercase letters as opposed to the lowercase letters. The advantage of this alphabetic script is its ability to demonstrate poetic rhythm. For example, how many syllables are in each row. This speaks to the fact that Greek poetry did not begin after its writing, but rather as a precursor. So poetry was spoken before it was written. Greek philosophy and art predated its writing, a core difference to the Sumerian, Chinese and Egyptian writing systems. The Greek script represented not only the meaning, as in previous scripts, but also an idea of the phonetics of a word, that is, how it should be pronounced. Because of this, people could deduce how a word should be written, and this allowed a lot more people access to writing, though it did obviously create some early spelling differences. Greek was one of the most written cultures of its time. Whilst literacy rates were still well below what we have today, they were a lot higher than other societies of the time. Certainly this higher level of people writing will contribute to the vast amounts of surviving literature that we still retain of Greek culture. Thus we have the benefit of the science, philosophy and literature, for example Homer, Plato and Aristotle. Because of the types of use Greek was employed for, the language itself changed. To fully express themselves, new words were created to match their ideas, much like Shakespeare created new words in his works. For example, historia in English history, mathematicae, maths, physicae, physics, philosopher, philosophy, aesthetica, aesthetics, and musicae, music. And apologies, I do not speak Greek, so if those pronunciations were far off the mark, I am very sorry. Many European languages have clearly borrowed a lot of their words from Greek. The Greeks had a huge influence on how we understand the world, and their language design is still very prevalent in ours. This is really a powerful feature of all languages, the ability to evolve and develop the language, so that if we don't have the correct word to fully express ourselves in our own language, then we can look to one of the other languages we know and the words that they use to express them and borrow those words for our own uses. And a great recent example of this is the word hygge. It changed through the years, through the different rises and falls of empires, but remained an official language for many years, which is fairly unusual. Even during the Roman Empire, the Romans had Latin and Greek as their formal languages, whereas for many other nations that the Roman Empire took over, their languages were lost to time. It was during the Roman period that the Greek language adapted a new purpose, the first written language of Christianity, though not the only, to be clear. When Constantinople became the second capital, with Rome, Greek was its formal written language, and this remained the case until 1453, when Constantinople fell. Greek was used formally and consecutively for over 1700 years. In fact, Greek did not end here, but it did change and morph. In Greece, Greek remained the spoken language from the 15th century to the 18th century, which was during the Ottoman rule. However, in the 19th century, Greece became an independent state, and thus Greek became its formal written language once again. However, over time, because the language had been spoken only for around 300 years, it was unrecognizable from its ancient Greek or its previous Greek form, and thus two different types of Greek were recognized for a short period of time. But over time, the more popular, newer, spoken type of Greek lasted out. And in 1976, a popular version of Greek, which evolved in the spoken time, became the official Greek. It brings us to now. This hopefully demonstrates how much of an impact language has on our world and our society and our experience. The recorded communications of Aristotle and Plato, for example, give us the legend of Atlantis, the Achilles heel, and such perpetually relevant quotes, such as, "A friend to all is a friend to none," "The law is reason, free from passion," "Happiness depends upon ourselves." And that brings us to the end of our Greek language deep dive. If you enjoyed the video, please do like it below. It does help us with the algorithm, especially as a small channel. And please do subscribe for deep dives in other languages, plus the rest of the language history series. Share it with anybody that you think might find it useful, and please do comment below your thoughts. We can't wait to see you next week.